talk, you know what we're starting this show with. It is the most consequential story, I believe, in the entire country. The largest municipal police force in Canada has been rocked by a level of corruption within its own ranks, the likes of which I've never seen. This is playing out like The Sopranos, Toronto edition. The story matters wherever you are, and you should be concerned that this happened, that the Toronto police fell apart. They have a huge mountain to climb to regain the trust of a city that is tired of losing trust in its institutions. I want you to picture this. I want you to picture being in your car and you see a cop, a sort of a pay duty cop, maybe protecting a construction site. And all of a sudden, some of his colleagues walk up to him and you're thinking, oh, they're going to chat about something. No. They read him his rights and they arrest him in broad daylight on a public street. This is the thin blue line folding up onto itself. We don't know a lot, but we do know this.
Yes, a Toronto police officer was arrested yesterday in that capacity, but it was not related to the actions of the officer yesterday. It was related to the overarching case that we have spoke about.
That was the deputy chief of the York Regional Police who conducted this investigation. And you would ask yourself, well, why did that happen? Why was York investigating Toronto? Well, here's what we know. 8 Toronto police members, 7 active duty, 1 retired constable, are charged in what is now known as a sweeping corruption probe, allegedly leaking confidential police data that then fueled extortions, shootings, robberies, and even a murder plot. Police chiefs called the case one of the most serious corruption scandals in Toronto police history, with 27 total arrests, 170 charges, and seizures, including $600,000 in cash, 4 illegal guns. We're going to get into all the other tentacles that include drugs going back and forth across the border, cannabis, coke, meth, fentanyl. But after you hear this news, there's a lot that has to be done. Once you absorb it, there is the natural inclination to ask if this is it, and what does this mean for our trust in the police? Let's listen to York Regional Police Chief Jim McSween.
I know you may feel shaken, confused, or angry about this news. Understand that we are resolute in our commitment to identifying, apprehending, and prosecuting everyone responsible for these reprehensible crimes.
And look, I'm not going to make any predictions here, but what I heard there made it sound like this might not be over. There may be more threads to pull at that could lead to more arrests. Some of these guys might sing for a lesser sentence, and next thing you know, there's a whole other swath of arrests. There might be another shoe that might drop. I want to give you the chain of events because, yes, this was a sweeping investigation. I've heard some people say it was long. I don't know enough about this to say whether it was long or short, but it started in June of last year. And after I'm reading you 27 total arrests, 170 charges, to me, that feels like they did a lot of work really quickly. But this is where it started, right? So June 2025, imagine living on your street. And all of a sudden, imagine being a cop on your street, and then all of a sudden you see on your Ring cameras or whatever cameras that masked men 3 times in 36 hours start casing your house. So there's a man who worked provincially in corrections, and he saw this on his Ring cameras. Probably alerted the York Regional Police because that's where he lives. Hey, something's going on at my house. A little weird. I got my family here. Can you do something about this? And so sure enough, they do. And they put together a sting that involved, I think, a helicopter. And sure enough, a car shows up and they box him in and he tries to escape, ramming into the police cruiser in front of the police officer's house or the corrections officer's house. They arrest 3 guys. There's a gun in the car. So we know what they were there for. That's how this started. From there, investigators discovered that Constable Timothy Barnhart ran unlawful searches in the police database, including this guy's address. Now, the question is, how did they go from arresting these guys to knowing to look into Timothy Barnhart's search history in the police database? I can't say for sure, but logic dictates I should ask the question, did those 3 criminals that got arrested sing like a canary? So they do this investigation. They find out all sorts of information, weird queries that he shouldn't have been in his orbit to be asking about. And these were queries that involved locations of shootings, extortion, robberies. This was the first red flag. Again, allegedly, Timothy Barnhart was getting information that was proprietary and confidential and handing it over to criminals so they would know where to go. He was allegedly helping the criminals facilitate their crimes. And I saw a video during the press conference of the Deputy Chief of York Regional Police, Deputy Chief Hogan. And in it, they showed police videos of criminals lighting up entire blocks, residential blocks of homes with what looked like semi-automatic or automatic weapons. They looked to me from the distance, they looked like an Uzi, and they sounded like one. Just nonstop. Bullets raining down on homes in neighborhoods like where you live, neighborhoods like where I live. Saw another video of another criminal lighting up a business. And then to think that crime maybe wouldn't have happened were it not for the alleged help of this Timothy Barnhart. I'm angry and I'm shocked and I want more information and I want the certainty, the absolute certainty that they have pulled out the rot in the police force from its root. And I don't want to be patient. I want it now. But back to the investigation. The pattern emerges. Detectives keep digging. They find multiple Toronto officers accessing confidential information that later aligned with criminal activity. And this criminal activity, it wasn't just random. It linked directly to organized crime. So now the criminal connections are surfacing. They uncover the confidential intel was being passed on to known criminal figures like the tow truck underworld, illegal cannabis operations. And at one point, during this investigation, they seize a gun during a Vaughan shooting. And it's connected to a guy named Kajon Doman. The gun was linked to 8 shootings across southern Ontario. And when they go to his house, they find confidential police information in his possession tied back to that original Barnhart query. So the whole thing comes full circle. These guys know they're on the right path. Massive interagency investigation. More than 400 officers from York, Toronto, OPP, and corrections working together. None of it comes out. No leaks. No leaks. Piecing together digital evidence, surveillance, financial records, and internal police logs to finally give us what we're talking about today. There is a lot to be proud of in our cops here. Sadly, we're being proud of them for the shame brought upon them by these 8 individuals, and perhaps more to come. Thanks so much for watching the show. Now, if you enjoyed what you saw, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of The Ben Mulroney Show.